money to get through trial, but I mean, time will tell on that one. So why does Lin hate me so much? And how does that go into the Arizona audit? All right, so this is going to blow your guys' socks off if you haven't heard this yet. When I stopped working for Lin, I still had some people on property who were finishing up one of the security projects. And they would tell me all this information because they were on property when the gang showed up, right? So on the 15th of November, you have Doug Logan, Jim Penrose, that's Mike Flynn's assistant.
Whose assistant?
Flynn.
Oh God.
You have Andrew Whitney. If you guys don't know who Andrew Whitney is, he is the CEO of a company called Phoenix Biotech. Okay. Who sits on the board and is the chief investor of Phoenix Biotech? Mike Lindell.
Do you know if he works with the America Project? Because somebody the other day was asking me a question about someone and he said the first name and I was like, I've never heard of that person. And I was looking and looking and looking and I couldn't find anybody connected to the America Project with that name.
He probably was, because it's so incestuous, this group of people. It's scary. So back to Mike Lindell and Andrew Whitney, who are very close. Andrew Whitney was CEO of Phoenix Biotech. They had a drug. It's not really a drug. It's a supplement. If you guys remember this, called Oleandrin. Do you guys remember hearing about Oleandrin back in the day?
Yes.
I don't. I'm a little younger, though. I don't know how back in the day.
So Oleandrin was this new miracle cure for COVID.
Oh.
Right. And they were trying to get this vial of Oleandrin in front of Trump to be the next sort of breakthrough COVID treatment. Oleandrin is a poison, right? Oleandrin can kill you. There was really no kind of peer-reviewed study on it, but they were trying to get it in front of the Trump administration. So you have Lindell and you have his close associate, Andrew Whitney. And then you have Doug Logan, you have Jim Penrose, and then you have General Flynn and Sidney Powell coming in and out of the property in South Carolina, Lynn's property, which I thought was
what month is this?
This is November 15th. It all started.
Oh God. Okay.
All right. My former employee shared with me some documents that were being passed around by this gang, and pretty much doing a step-by-step of how do we overturn this election, right? He became intimately involved, okay? And then he would just send me information. Much of what he sent me was in text messages and some files, and I remembered that information for later on. Fast forward to the end of November. My company was still doing all the email admin, was still doing everything related to his sort of networks and whatnot. So Doug Logan contacted me on the 23rd of November and said he is going to be taking over the network at Tamale. And I said, finally. Right. I had told Lynn several times, Lynn, you got to find new providers for this stuff. We're not doing this for you anymore. And in about 2 days, I turned over that.
It's fine.
I turned over that network to Doug Logan. Right. What I didn't like was, if we fast forward to March, when Cyber Ninjas was going to become the the company to do this, right? I knew right then this is not smart, right? This is going to destroy the credibility of the audit. Having a guy do it who spent a month and a half living on Lynn's property immediately after the election, especially with all these things going around. I mean, I was given an email where Lynn actually told Sidney that we need to make the, how do you say it? Like, we need to look like we're pursuing litigation. Ha. Like, he put a ha after it. Lynn was telling people, and Aaron would send me these and say, what's going on here, right? Because Lynn would say things like, I want you to get as many affidavits as you can, right? Accuracy is less important than volume, right?
Can I stop you there for a second so I
Yeah.
can explain something on our side of that? Okay, so whenever we started, we had some people that have been working on affidavits in other groups that joined our states too. And like me personally, I didn't really know a lot about them. I didn't want to ask anybody to make one or really mess with them because they're a legal binding document. I was like, me and the other owner was like, let's just get settled and then we'll figure it out. Because you got to remember, we had like 20 states, and then they kept going on Bannon saying we had all 50 states and we didn't. So they were kind of rushing us to pump out all these states with thousands of people. So we were trying to keep structure, and it was really hard. So anyways, the affidavits, we had several states where people came in there and they were supposedly have been working on these affidavits. So this is the first time that, again, the owner and I of the audit channel, we don't know this network of people. We don't know people that have already really been working on it. We're just kind of meeting people. We started out with the lady at the Arizona Watch. We watched cameras. And then this was, we were going to do, like, actually we were going to do working towards them, not she was going to do the cameras, and then we split because a lot of these people were working us against each other. So we ended up splitting, which we are friends now. But the affidavits, so we don't really know anybody involved in this stuff. So all of a sudden we get attacked by Dave Jose, and I'm like, who is Dave Jose? I have no idea. He's making YouTube videos about our channels, and he's saying that we popped out of nowhere and that we were blacklisting his name. Well, we didn't even have a bot to blacklist him from at the time. We hadn't even gotten it installed yet. So I was like, I don't even know what he's talking about. We were just saying some of the states weren't going to start them yet because they're legal documents, and we didn't want to just jump the gun on them. So I was like, I made a post and was like, we want to talk to Dave Jose and Josh Barnett, because I wanted to talk to them to see, what they were doing and see if we could use it, like we could work together. So they sent this guy who was like 20 years old to talk to me. And somebody that I had mentoring me actually put him in a group with me. And we were like, what is going on? So they would only talk to me if I went through that boy or if I went on their YouTube channel. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, why can't y'all just talk to me? So after that, it was like a war for like a week over these affidavits. And I was just like, I didn't even know who he was. I had no idea who him or Josh Barnett were. So, and neither did the other owner. We were both just kind of like, what is even going on right now? And then we had a problem in another state, a girl that worked with them with affidavits. And we're just trying to figure out, like, what is going on with these affidavits? So as time passes and we deal with them, and after the symposium and all this stuff, we finally figured out that the affidavits were being used as busy work. They were being used because we were actually doing things that were going to be effective, like the FOIAs, and we were building our own data and all kinds of stuff. And the affidavits, after talking to a few lawyers, they were kind of like, we felt it would be better to do affidavits after we found fraud or got affidavits from people that actually went through something while they were voting. We felt like that would hold more weight.
That's
And
what
I
you
didn't,
need.
Yeah, and also sidebar, they don't even have a law license. Like they don't even have legal degrees. And I'm like, I'm not about to use a legal document from somebody that's not a lawyer. So it was just like we were really raked over. Like the dude did 10 videos smashing me and our channels, calling us infiltrators, all this kinds of crazy crap. And I'm like, look, we didn't want to use the affidavits. We didn't want to use them right off the bat unless they had already been used in certain states. That was it. It was nothing personal. It wasn't black hat crap. It was just, we don't just jump up and do legal documents. So it's now that whenever you said that about the affidavits, I'm like, that's where it started, was there, because we couldn't figure out who the heck started this affidavit thing.
Well,
It's so,
I'll tell you,
David, I apologize. This is for Publius. I'm in New Jersey. There was actually, it was more than that. So it was
Yeah, you have
directly
more experience.
associated. It was directly associated with the fundraising also. So there was fundraising going on at the affidavit signings. I picked up on what was transpiring very quickly, and I looked up in the New Jersey Law Journal and found out that the woman was claiming to be an attorney and had no law license. And as a paralegal, I have a responsibility to my members. I will not allow them to be taken advantage of.
right.
So I absolutely took her off our channel. That's a federal offense right there. You don't represent yourself as an attorney with no law license. So plus the fundraising issue, which there was money missing from various signings, it's completely inappropriate. And the thing that bothers me even more, and I'm sorry for Kyle, I would love the moment to pray over him and his family for that, but it appears to me that this following of the money and misuse of money and misallocation, it's consistent across the board,
That's
and
right.
it's appalling.
Mhm.
That was another thing too, was that
Thank you for that. I mean, I 100% agree with you. I saw this happening. So, you know, I had worked with Lynn. I had worked with these personalities. And look, I'm not attacking Lindell, okay? I think there was some miscommunication that was outside of, that wasn't his fault. If he didn't mean to donate to Kyle, then he didn't mean to donate to Kyle. I'm not attacking him for that, right? I don't think Lindell's a bad guy. I think he had a lot of people telling him things that were not true, because why would they want to upset the boss, right? And I think he really got down the line with that. So I'm not attacking. I am attacking basically Lin Wood, because I feel like Lin Wood was at the nexus of a lot of this stuff, especially with the affidavits. I mean, they had a draft affidavit created by a guy by the name of Brandon Castleberry. Brandon Castleberry happens to be one of the two principals in, I think it's LGL Consulting, which is one of the owners of the Krakenwood freaking nonsense that Lynn and Sidney started, right? So all these people are tied in and working together behind the scenes, right? He's not an attorney, but yet he's the one who's sort of sending out these affidavits. They're coming back, and then Doug Logan is organizing them, as many as he can. And these are the people who are going to be running the audit in Arizona. I mean, come on. What did they think was going to happen?
Yeah, and because this was the first time that, this has ever happened. So I feel like a lot of regular citizens, I mean, a lot of Arizona people were following it very closely, but a lot of us were like, whoa, an audit. And like, that's how I found out about it. I was just on Telegram and I saw the watch channel pop up and I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be cool to watch the audit. And so a lot of people didn't have any idea what was even going on to even be paying attention in the beginning of it. But
and there's an opportunity. There was a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, and the affidavits, the people that were doing the affidavits that were attacking us, they were charging for classes. And so I finally realized, I was like, they're mad because we're doing things for free And people, what was happening is our admins that had done these affidavit classes, they were teaching other admins. We were just resourcing each other because we don't take any funds whatsoever. We have never taken a dime. We all of us have lost money from our jobs from not being able to spend time at our jobs because we're doing this. Like, people have lost spouses, people have lost a lot doing this because we are 100% volunteer. And that was what I was like, why are all these people attacking us? And they're like, because y'all are doing this for free and you're educating the population and the citizens on the laws and everything for free, because we just use each other's expertise to do it.
But that is the kind of grassroots, I think, collective that should have happened, right? When the people who are speaking the loudest about election fraud, right, such as Lin Wood and some of these other folks, like, you got to wonder what exactly is in it for them. And when they have this big meeting that takes place on his property, right, that any reasonable person would say none of these people should be associated with a full-scale forensic audit, right? I mean, sit down and have discussions. How do we do this? Let's take a group from your side, a group from our side, and we'll cross-audit each other. We'll audit each other's audit results. Like, we'll go back and forth. There's a way to do this, right? There was a way to do this that would make everybody feel comfortable in the process, right? But in true Lin Wood fashion, I'm not saying he's the one who is responsible for it, but he likes to brute force things, right? Now, this is how important they felt their meeting in November was to cover up. In March, I talk about this all the time on the Lin Wood Speaks Lies channel, because I go through the entire timeline of what happened. But this is what Lin Wood did to me, because he wanted to cover this information up. And this is the most suspect part about it. In March of this year, Wendy spoke to the press about Lin Wood, about she just wants an accounting, right? And he won't give it to her, and she's got no idea how much was raised. Lin then started screaming about me being a fraud. He said I was like dishonorably discharged from the military, which is a lie. He said I stole money from a charity, which is a lie. He said I had a drug addiction, which is a lie. He lied across the board, demonstrably false, right? Like, I literally posted my DD-214. I literally posted like, these are strict lies, period. And he kept it up because he wanted to silence me. So he talked to the press, to Law and Crime, and he's like, oh, no, you can't listen to anything. He's under investigation for hacking Fight Back. Okay. One, I could never hack Fight Back, right? Like, why would I?
It's always a hack.
I hacked Fight Back, right? All I did was share text messages sent to me, but it was very suspect. Well, fast forward to April, I started a Twitter account and I exposed this. I said, Doug Logan, Jim Penrose, all these people were on Lin's property. And I gave the text messages from Aaron, who was telling me about all these people coming to Lin's property. That's all I had. I just had text messages from my employee who told me who was coming into the property and what they were doing, right? One of what they were doing was they had a video call with Ron Watkins twice. Actually, the first one he got, I guess, weirdly spooked out, so he had to call back from some other computer, right? But Aaron's telling me this stuff, and they're just about to sign the contract with Cyber Ninjas. And I figured this was the last shot to try to change this, because this is going to destroy and discredit the audit, right? This information will come out that they had this meeting and they planned this whole thing. They will get subpoenaed for their communications. It's going to happen. and anything that comes out of this audit is going to be destroyed.
What did
So
you
I-
say they met with Ron about?
All these guys, every one of them got on a video call with Ron Watkins on November 15th.
What was he included for?
You're telling me.
That
So-
is strange.
So
But
I posted this on
yeah.
my Twitter. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
I was just telling her I did tell you that. Like
You did tell
I
me that?
well, not that specific thing, but I know some other stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I gave it to a company, a media organization called Talking Points Memo. The text. I said, here, like this is going on, hoping somebody somewhere would be like, okay, hold on, right? Like, this is not cool. What is going on? Like, and what do they do? I think Doug's a nice guy. I turned over for him, and I actually had Doug like tell me, hey, I'm going to try to get you paid, because obviously Lynn didn't pay my final invoices for my company, right? That's just what he does. He doesn't pay invoices all the time. But he was nice. I thought Doug was nice enough. I didn't want to throw Doug under the bus. I just knew what was going to happen with this audit if this kind of information was to come out later on, right? So what does Lin Wood do? And this will blow your mind. Lin Wood files a false police report, okay? The guy who supposedly was the one who filed it has actually told me he never filed it, period. And he alleges that I hacked Fight Back, okay? Which is weird because he went to his own small town police department, okay? Fight Back, even if I did hack Fight Back is located in Texas. And Kelly, I'm sure you can attest to this. Let's just say that I was in Georgia and I hacked Fight Back, right? Fight Back is based in Texas. If I'm not in Georgia, there is no jurisdiction, right? Period. I didn't hack Fight Back. I wasn't in Georgia. And but that didn't stop him from going to a small town police department, filing a false police report. And then he actually got a warrant for my arrest, supposedly. Nobody has seen the warrant. Got a warrant for my arrest. When Talking Points Memo called him for comment on the 14th, he said he couldn't talk to them, right? On the morning of the 15th, he gets arrest warrant for me for hacking. He uses that arrest warrant and tells the Talking Points Memo reporter and editor, screaming at them, saying, if you publish anything that Dave Hancock gave you, he got it from fruits of a crime, right? And they were going to still run with it. But they gave Lynn the opportunity to go on the record that Doug Logan was in fact there, right? And this came from Talking Points Memo. Lynn threatened them just like he did with the New Yorker. And so that was the first time that anybody heard that Doug Logan and Lin Wood had a relationship. Lynn lied and stated that they were working on election fraud, but they weren't working with Lynn. Well, that's a lie. Okay. They were working directly with Lynn. So much so that your guys like your Jim Penrose and your Doug Logan, they were communicating behind the Fight Back domain, right? They wanted to keep their communications behind one domain so as the public wouldn't find out about just the kind of work that they were doing together, right? So Lynn gets some arrest warrant, and then everybody is calling him. God bless everybody at Lin Wood Speaks Lies, because everybody's saying, hey, Lynn, you're slandering Dave. What evidence do you have? Where's this arrest warrant? he gets a letter sent to him from the town police chief that says David Hancock has an arrest warrant. Right? Just some personal letter from the police chief that he posts all over his Telegram. And interestingly enough, I called that police department twice and I asked them, is there an investigation on me? Is there a warrant? Is there no, can't find anything, nothing. So I get my lawyers involved, they get over there, and that is still ongoing. But needless to say, once my lawyers got involved, the warrant was revoked, the case was thrown away, but we have still not been provided a single document relating to our request from the MSC Police Department, from our FOIAs. So something strange is going on down there in Yemassee. But my point is, Lin wanted to shut me up so bad that he defamed me for months and actually had a arrest warrant taken out that I believe he paid for. I believe he contributed to this police chief's sheriff run, just to keep the information quiet that Doug Logan and all these people, yes, were on his property for a month. So
Can I
I'll
ask
leave
you a
it.
question about, so we all traced, the stop the steal stuff to Ali Akbar. So we know that Lynn was like big into that. Can you explain that relationship at all?
The whole stop the steal stuff.
Yeah, because that was traced to that Ali Akbar guy who,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they were all in on it together, right? Like,
how did they know each other though? Like, how do they all meet each other?
I think
Now
they
I
all.
go political stuff.
I'm
What?
sorry.
I was just saying that's all political stuff. So they're all tied together just from different politicians, and that's where politicians are going to end up getting their hands dirty because they were the ones that initiated and funded a lot of this clown show that we watch now.
So we can FOIA that, right?
No, because these are all private organizations, and this was done with their personal gains. So the whole point is the reason why they're having us chase our tails instead of actually standing up and being like, hey, yo, we're the people, we get to, have some say here. We're all focused on what they're doing, and they're really working for the establishment, which is red and blue together, to make sure that their game stays in play, which is why they're still passing and not even afraid to pass this whatever last $1 trillion bill that they're debating, is because they know our attention is focused on where they're misdirecting us.
That's right. It's 100% right. Because look, you can sit down. I think you can sit down across the table with somebody with opposite political views, and you can come up with a adequate solution, right? What's not a adequate solution is to have everybody who's pushing the election fraud thing actually be working behind the scenes together, right? And I'll give you the example of that, right? Like people like Mary Fanning. She was getting information from General McInerney, and Mary Fanning was pushing that information to Sidney Powell and to Lin Wood, right?
Cue Josh. I don't know if he can talk or not, but I just unmuted him again. He was making some noise earlier. He didn't know he was, so I muted him.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about the whole Ron Watkins thing because, like after the 4th, I was already starting to deal with Ron. We had sort of formed like background cell groups. So like when you look at through my affidavits, what was happening was I was taking a conglomeration of 5-10 guys building separate teams. So I was doing division of labor because I was bitching saying, hey, I need to get this stuff freaking situated with everybody. So we had background cell groups, and Ron was helping with the information. Now, granted, at this time I wasn't in direct comms with anybody because I was still concerned that since Sidney was part of the investigation having to do with Flynn, that she may still be under a FISA. So up until March or April, I did not allow direct comms with her or anyone within those spheres, because your FISA warrant, of course, NSA is allowed to go 1 degree of separation CONUS, 3 degrees of separation OCONUS. So I had to be really cognizant of that. But Ron was sort of helping. We had, other than guys like Garrett Ziegler and others who were inside the White House who were helping, we also had interns and other people in the White House who were helping us as well, which some of them, of course, got mad whenever I publicly said, hey, this guy was helping. But I think it needed to be known because you had key people inside the administration that were working against and key people who were working with. And I think people needed to know who those key players were, because we knew Cipollone was boxing Trump in. Trump didn't know what was going on the entire time. I found out from Bernie Carrick that Trump did not know about our investigations into election fraud until about the 6th or the 7th. And Trump got so mad he threw a table across the room he was in. And I heard it because I was talking to Bernie Carrick when it happened, and I was talking to another intern that was working in the White House at the time. And then once, like y'all are talking about with this stuff that happened in November, and they're having these background meetings, Russ was really the key, one of the key figures who was also, from my understanding, I don't know, David, if you knew if Russ was at the compound, but Russ told me he was at the compound.
Yeah, I mean, they were communicating free as a bird, right? I mean, all these guys talking back and forth. Some of the guys were talking from Proton Mail. Some of the other guys were talking.
Wicker.
I mean, Seth Cashell's wife had a fight back email, right?
Right, and she still works for Sidney.
She still works for Sidney. So
okay.
Everybody had gotten together to kind of plan this, and as it relates to Sullivan Strickler, as it relates to Allied Operations Group, they were all talking, and they were all actively planning what to do. And so when they did the audit in Antrim County, and I think you could speak better to this, that was Doug Logan as an expert, and another one of the experts was
Conan and Todd. Conan and Todd. Yep. Former surfer. I still laugh when Patrick goes on about how he's, weaponized autist. I'm like, that dude's a fucking script. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. That dude's a freaking script kiddie. I watched him when we were at the.
I'm sorry, Josh. How did these people become affiliated, and how did they get tied in with this audit? Walk me through who introduced whom to whom.
So Russ is the one who, whenever the Arizona audit came up, Russ submitted 4 company names to the legislature in Arizona, along with Waldron, because Waldron and Russ were the ones who were guiding the Arizona legislature through who was going to be doing the audit. So they submitted 4 company names, and they ended up picking Cyber Ninjas. But Doug Logan was already in this sort of, he was distancing himself from Russ because Russ was mad that they wouldn't, Sidney and Russ both were mad at Logan because he never gave them the Antrim analysis, which is a forensic analyst on a computer system. They're supposed to have used a program called Encase, and by court standards, it is a 30-day process to do a proper forensic analysis on a computer. And those 3 gentlemen took 6 days to do the Antrim analysis, which Russ, at the end of it, ended up signing his name onto that, even though he had no dealings with it whatsoever. But they pushed Cypher, they pushed Cyber Ninjas, and I can't think of the 2 other companies off of the top of my head, But the company that Russ actually wanted that would have worked specifically with him was, of course, not one of the ones that were picked. And
Can we clarify too that I don't think so? Trump was angry, but Trump was not a part of this. Trump was very misled by a lot of people, and a lot of people that were trying to help Trump were stonewalled, and that's correct, right?
Okay,
correct.
I'm
Let
gonna
Kelly,
back this up.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna back this up a little bit, Josh, because I don't know. I mean, I don't think everybody understands where this started. So Josh actually worked for ASOG back, what, 2019, 2020, somewhere in there?
I started working for them September 2017 as the vice president of cyber
Oh, yeah.
operations.
Okay, so you went back that far. But I know in 2018, 2019, they started making a circuit, is pretty much what I understand from Laura Presley. And they started selling, basically, I think it was kind of a grift that started after the election with Clinton, and she was going around screaming and yelling. And there were a lot of bills that were introduced in Congress during that time frame talking about all these cyber issues. And they never passed, by the way. There's tons of them that are in there. And so I know that ASOG and basically Josh and Sidney Powell started fundraising in Texas back then. So
No,
my
I never fundraised. All of
okay,
them.
you didn't fundraise, you were working.
Russ has made so far over $15 million, as well as Sidney, through all of this. And I've
Very good.
actually had no more ties with them since July.
Well, no, but they were actually fundraising back years ago because I've talked to people who were donors of them who had issues after the election challenge. They wanted to know what they were fundraising for all these years, if they were just because they had all this time to plan, right? So
Right.
basically, if everybody recalls, back in July, August of 2020, you heard about the Democrats and all of them like wargaming this election. Well, Trump had an election strike force team too. And it was made up of basically people who had just gained access to him or to his team. I won't actually say they gained access to him at that time, but it was people who were trying to gain access. And there were multiple factions involved. And basically, as we came into November and I picked up in November 3rd, I was there for kind of some of the conference calls that were just a lot of drama and infighting, because what they were doing was pushing out the people that probably in hindsight now were actually the good guys. And what they created was a team that was basically a bunch of people that were just fundraising. And I have to say this just because this is my irritation with the entire process, is that back in November, I'm in Detroit, I'm gathering evidence, I'm sending it to everyone. And when they're filing stuff, none of it's coming out. Like, we literally hijacked the hotline from the RNC because the RNC was throwing Trump under the bus. And so we literally, a group of us took it over. We were keeping all the states going. Like, we were starting to communicate with other states to make sure that we all had a flow through mechanism to organize it. And when they started filing, it was all garbage. Like, all of the good information of fraud got cast aside, like from day one. And so that was where I really realized at the very beginning that this was something else.
And they knew it.
Kelly,
And they
sorry.
knew it. And they knew it. You know how Lynn told Judge Parker he had nothing to do with any of the lawsuits up in Michigan? That was a blatant lie.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we were communicating with that team too. That's what I'm saying. I knew they were botching everything because anything that was filed, I don't even know where that stuff came from. And we're sitting on hundreds, thousands of affidavits of people actually witnessing or having conversations about fake ballots. I mean, we had full admissions in Michigan basically that never got to the surface. I still don't know.
So Kelly, can I just walk this back for 1 second? This is for Publius again in New Jersey. So what I'm hearing you say is what they have done is the very same thing that we know CTCL did.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Exactly the same.
exactly.
Under a different name and a different guise, but they have done exactly
Wait.
the same thing.
What was the name of this? I'm trying to
The
keep
Center
up with
for
all
Tech
this.
and Civic Life.
Yep. And
So
I know
here
I
we
don't know.
are,
CTC
angry
I know
with
the
them.
CTC, but what name did they use?
They
All
need
these orgs.
all of these
pick one.
organizations, and
So they
Lin
did
Wood
the
is
same
right along
thing-
with them.
So
They
did
laundered the
same
money.
thing that Zuckerberg did.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I
Yes.
thought.
And that's what they're doing. So getting back to, someone had referenced Mary Fanning and Dennis Montgomery. Okay, so, and I know Josh knows this, but I was contacted by Sheriff Arapaio because they tried to take down Sheriff Arapaio with a honeypot out of Arizona a while back using the same scam that Lindell is still pushing. And it's been, I mean, he's facing charges for this stuff. And yet they've cleaned up his history, swept it all under the rug, hidden all of it, and they're
Bought
still
him a house.
pushing these people that basically have already run this scam before.
Yeah,
100
and the bad part is, you know, when everybody tried specifying, like all of us in the red team tried specifying what we saw, Lindell like violently lashed out at us because he just did not want to hear it. It was an in for a penny, in for a pound situation that he had put himself into. And, you know, to a certain degree, I had to fall on the proverbial sword because nobody else in the group had the freaking intestinal fortitude to stand up to Lindell, not even his own attorney. Freaking Kurt Olson, which I was shocked because Kurt Olson supposedly worked for Trump. But I'm sitting there watching Lindell punk him like a little school. It was crazy.
So we have had 50 states across the nation training ourselves, one anothering our members to teach them and have them put their fingers on the truth by unearthing FOIA request after FOIA request. And we're still being used by the left and the right and everywhere in between. And no one has the fortitude to stand by we the people. What is wrong with these people?
That would be the three of us that have been hanging. Well, actually, four of us now. That would be those of us that have figured this out and have been completely and totally silenced and suppressed.
And threatened multiple times.
threatened.
Our lives, our cyber, everything has been threatened.
So if anybody's wondering how did Lin Wood get tied up in this? Well, a little known fact is Lin Wood and Mike Flynn have been texting buddies since all the way back in March of 2020. Lin Wood used to always talk about, you know, baby eating this, baby eating that. He was heavily swamped up in all that stuff. Our idea, baby eating, you know, the whole baby satanic baby eating stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was saying that all the way back in March. You know, what I was hoping for once we gave our final report on the audits of his devices and his network and et cetera, and just got him comfortable and safe, that would sort of help him, right? Because at the time he was saying things like the Elon Musk trial was a setup, that the jury was fixed, his law partners were fixed, all this other stuff was fixed, and I saw a man who was hurting, right? Like I saw somebody who was having some issues. I just figured if we could give him a secure environment, that some of that stuff would pass by, and it just kept getting worse, right? I mean, there's times when I mean, he said to me one time, I couldn't believe he said it. and I asked him not to say it, but like he thought that Mark Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel and all these other people, Steve Wynn, were using subliminal messaging through Facebook to convince his kids to have him go see a psychiatrist, so then the deep state could use that to prevent him from being the next Chief Justice of the United States. Like just this off the wall, just stuff that can't even happen, right? But that's what was going on. And I don't mean to say it to knock Lin down. I'm not trying to. Like when I met him, I was starstruck. I was like, wow, this is Lin Wood. Holy cow, this is Lin Wood, right? Like, and so I really wanted to help him and make him feel secure. And when he started talking about the final harvest and he started talking about all this other stuff, and then I saw the way that he treated people who used to work for him, right? He's just accusing people of stealing his data. He's accusing people of like working for the CIA. I mean, just
which is the same exact thing they have all accused me, and they have accused all of us of being agents. I mean, agents get paid, and let me tell you, I'm not getting paid, and neither is anybody else in this organization. We are not getting paid, and I have spent over 1,600 hours since the Arizona audit started doing this crap.
right.
And I will like crack too, because it's like I did the same thing. Like, I mean, I was there for the 6th, and I saw that it was very scripted and manufactured and obviously some type of operation. And I mean, I felt sorry for all these people. So like I mean, yeah, it's crazy because there's those of us that have completely driven ourselves almost broke trying to fight a battle that we're going to get squeezed out of, and nobody can handle the truth really, because it's hard. And I get it's hard because I did the same thing. I'm like, wow, look at me. I'm providing affidavits for the Trump team, you know, and then to realize that they're sabotaging all of it is just, it's really hard to grasp and deal with. And so I know it's hard
Because
for
they get the
everybody
money.
who's listening.
They get the money, right? They get the money. I mean, look at Clements, right? Like, where did he come from? Right? He comes out of nowhere. $280,000 raised on GoFundMe.
I think I figured out hold on a second. I think I figured out the connection there because I was looking into I don't know, somebody had shared a video of Tracy Beans, and I think she's either from South Carolina or she ran in South Carolina, and that's where Clements is originally from, is South Carolina.
Yeah, and Tracy Beans, I mean, when you talk about the Q stuff, Tracy Beans goes all the way back to the beginning.
She's Flynn's admin on Telegram.
She's Flynn's admin, yeah. So this whole thing has been wrapped up in this solid grift, right? All these organizations are 501 Charlie 4, so they're not going to disclose. I mean, Lin and Fightback he tells people that they did what they had to do, but they didn't, right? They asked for an extension to file their annual 990, so they don't have to reveal how much was brought in donations, right? And I think you're going to get the same treatment out of DTR and some of these other associations, because they don't need, by the letter of the law, to say exactly who donated. They're supposed to reveal their finances, but they can kick the can down the road for 3 years, right? And by the time they actually do, this stuff's going to be long overdue. You know, it's going to be long past. People will be thinking about 2024. So that was the most concerning, because if we just came together and sat down and had conversations and said, okay, how do we do this where both sides feel comfortable, right? Don't put polarized people with biases already built in to run a forensic audit of 2.1 million ballots. There's too many opportunities for attack, and everybody should have known that. Everybody should have known that, right? It was a disservice to we the people to push that as the solution, in my opinion. But they controlled it. They controlled it. They had a puppet. They had a puppet there. They controlled it. They'd get inside information, and they'd be able to use that to fundraise.
Who's the
period.
puppet? Do we
So-
know?
Doug Logan.
Well, how does Shelby Bush is Josh Barnett's campaign manager, and Shelby Bush is directly tied to Waldron, and Garrett Ziegler is tied in there too. So, you know, one time when I was on the Watch channel, this lady came in and she was like, I need to talk to somebody. I'm a flight attendant. I overheard some things. So I immediately talked to the lady. She overheard a guy like bragging about being flown to the audit to count ballots from Philadelphia. And some lawyer was paying him. And I was like, what? Nobody from only Maricopa is supposed to be there except for the Cyber Ninjas team. And she was like, well, I got his name and everything because she signed up to volunteer and they told her she couldn't do it. And so then whenever she heard that, she was mad. Like, she was like, I'll risk my whole job because this is ridiculous. So I turned it in, and Jovan actually, a few weeks ago, we were on a Zoom and he was talking about how he handled that and reported it and they got the guy out. I looked him up on Facebook so we could figure out what he looked like and everything. And he said that they got that guy out. Supposedly, they never told me. But anyways, so I didn't know who was paying this guy. I looked, he had a lawyer from Texas that he was friends with on Facebook, but I couldn't find any direct ties. So that's the problem here is there's all these lawyers are involved. And it's like Kelly is the first person that I have met in this that is told the truth to me and told like we've had the same experiences but different because I'm more on the tech side because my experience has all been in Telegram as to where hers has been actually with these people in real life. I mean, I've talked to them in real life and worked with them, but not like they were working real time on the election. So it's like all of us have come together and put all these missing pieces together. And then the audit watch lady, she's on here too as well. And, you know, she is actually from Arizona and she knew a lot of the people running the Arizona stuff. So once we put all this together and then all of this stuff that you've been saying, it's just like crazy how it's all like clipping in like the perfect puzzle. It's just crazy.
It's mind blowing. So, I mean, that guy Andrew Whitney, the document he produced that was sent around, Aaron sent that to me, right? And it's like a step-by-step readout of how things have been going, right? I mean, they even made documents to send to the Office of the Presidency giving Russ Ramsland and some of these other organizations by presidential order full access to all these ballots and everything, right? Like they were pushing all this crazy stuff and they were getting things sent to them and they were having like discussions about how to not expose or not reveal something or hide something. Like these are the conversations they're having together, right? This is not good. Look, was there some level of fraud? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. But my problem is when you got people like Lin going out there and claiming that there's this algorithmic shift that will prevent. I mean, Lin just said on a podcast yesterday, I think he said that like the Republicans could have gotten a million votes in Georgia and the Democrats would get 1,000,001 votes, right? Look, somebody reasonable would say, let's get everybody out hugely and everybody should vote, right? Let's get lines of Republican red going down the street, freaking turn in an alley and come all the way back. Because then that algorithmic shift, it'll be much more apparent, right? I mean, you could literally say every single freaking Republican voter voted and only half a Democrat. So how did they win, right? By telling people to stay home, we lost that. We completely lost that option, right? And now we know that there was no algorithmic shift, right? Lin didn't care. He went on there. He gets very excited. If people are cheering him on, I mean, everybody's seen him, right? He gets in the moment. And he told people to stay home. And Trump tried to fix it, but it was too late. What, 600,000 Republicans stayed home, right? And now that gave the entire government to the Democrats, right? There was no stopgap. There was nobody who could pull sanity checks from the Republican side, right? Think about all the committees that we lost because we lost the Senate. He didn't think about the strategy of it. And you might think like Kelly Loeffler's a rhino and whatever. The fact is he said it, people stayed home, and ours lost the Senate, period. Right?
I do want to add for Georgia, just so y'all know, on the Senate race. So ASOG, and I'm one of
Can
the
you
guys.
please tell people who that is, because y'all keep saying ASOG and people are asking
Allied. Okay, so that's the Russ Ramsland connection is ASOG.
and Phil
And
Waldron.
so, Phil Waldron. So one of the guys who works for ASOG got intoxicated and started blabbing his mouth, and basically exposed that the deal was in Georgia that they were going to, and this is the rhinos, this is the Democrats, this is why I say it's a uniparty at the top. It's the establishment, is because like the rhinos basically gave what the deal was is those 2 Senate seats were to go to the Republicans for Trump. So that was the deal that was made in Georgia. Stacey Abrams actually screwed them. And so they gave Georgia to Biden and they stole the 2 Senate seats. So that was the double cross. And everything that they were fighting for initially, like the reason they continued to fundraise and do all of this was because their goal was to get Georgia exposed because of those 2 Senate seats. It really didn't have so much to do with anything else other than just to show the fraud in Georgia. But then this is where the people kind of came in play, is because everybody did get teed up and everybody did want a resolution. So then they started pushing out busy work and all of that stuff. And then Arizona's got its own ties to some other stuff, but that's why you see so much action there and why you've seen so much emphasis on those 2 was because both of those are ones that they thought they could manage and control.
So they made a deal to choose the election in Georgia, and then Stacey Abrams ended up undercutting them. So then they were like, okay, well, we're going to try to do the audit because you didn't do what we decided on our election that we're supposed to elect people.
So I'm going to go back to what I had said before, and I will say it again. I don't care about political patty cake. I don't care about political posturing, and I sure do not care about them furthering their office. I care about the Constitution and we the people. So, with all due respect to Kyle Rittenhouse, and again, I will be happy to pray with him. I feel badly for what transpired, but we the people are the victims in this game. And the Constitution was walked and tromped all over. So,
Right.
what is the corrective action to fix this shit show? Excuse my language, but I'm
He never
about done.
cusses.
This is not funny. This is disgusting.
Yeah, and this
The
is what I've been
founders,
trying to post on the channel, and I know it's hard to it's so hard to tell people and all of you guys what we have actually been through behind the scenes, like the psyops that have been run on us. But you got to think we the people, we're not paid, and we're also, one thing that has been left out of this that needs to be added is narrative propaganda. Everything that is corrupt and is used against us with propaganda media. So both sides use it. This entire audit situation has been nothing but propaganda, pushing dates. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. It's all been propaganda. And that's why they form these, I call them circle jerks. And you'll see all of them share the same stuff, and they just sit there and they insulate one another on Telegram. So, if you're only following a few things, you just keep seeing the same crap over and over. It's Mockingbird media, but it's on the Republicans or all the people on Telegram. And I firmly believe that there was a deal made with big tech, and they isolated us over here on purpose so we would all be in one place and that we wouldn't be on Twitter. So that exodus off of Twitter, they weren't just censoring conservatives. That was a master plan. I don't have anything to back that up, but because of everything that we're finding, it makes complete and total sense. There's not sides to this. This is we the people versus the globalists. That's all there is. And I've been saying that the entire time I have been on this channel. Our other owner, we always have been here for the people. That's why we don't have our pictures on anything, because we don't want to be the face of it. We've done one interview and our faces were not shown because we do not care to be the face of this. I don't want to be famous. I just want to fix my country because I have children. So the narrative propaganda is what is pushed whenever people victimize themselves, whenever people like, I lost this, so